talking about how this complete ownership of the means of producing image becomes the means of producing history. There is a lot of weight that we put into our past actions as like an evolutionary advantage. We're able to learn, for example, from what we've done, and we're able to repeat the adage, which goes on to be repeated in word and in praxis. Learn from your mistakes. So, in a way, when you're defining history, you're defining the mistakes people have made up to this point. For example, this is one of the things that history gives us, and it goes into defining this important concept, which is the true nature of man. If we believe we're hurt, we'll try to rectify the situation. That's not necessarily true now because something horrible's happened. But generally, you know, in other countries that are way ahead of America in just about every aspect except for military and spending power, people try to solve their problems. Even just 10 years ago, people tried to solve their problems. There are people older than me who try to solve their problems. There are people my age that try to solve their problems. But I would tell you, it's just whether or not they believe the problem's there, right? The more we believe in the information in front of us, it seems that this ritual order that creates the image of the past, something that we fetishize, seems to want people to lend their resolution to inaction. I see this an alarming amount with young kids, especially with this DEW attack happening that has been known to draw people to their vices. What I'm trying to say is, it seems that the main draw of all of this is to not rectify wrongs based on history, but rather how we feel in the current moment. So this true nature of man is very important, right? Because nature is a feeling. Nature is being outside and feeling the wind on your face. It's touching the ground and feeling the grass or the dirt or the sand. It's feeling that sea breeze. It's hearing the trees rustle. It's weather. It's clear skies. It's nature. Nature is felt. Not everyone understands nature. And in a way, when we understand nature, uh, we forget that we're losing ourselves in nature. And so it becomes something else. It becomes words in a book or a movie about nature. People can still appreciate. Take it tells you not to eat shrimp. You're not supposed to eat shrimp. That's in Leviticus. On God. I swear I've heard this. I'm telling you the best truth I can. You're not supposed to eat shrimp. Why? Have you ever eaten shellfish? Like kind of freezer quality shellfish from the store? I'm not talking about like crab cakes or like uh imitation crab or whatever. I'm talking about like frozen soft shell crab that they sell in the store. If you've ever steamed that and eaten it, you'll notice that it hurts you. That's because the Bible is an ancient survival guide, okay? In a way, in a lot of ways, the Bible is an ancient survival guide. In a lot of ways, the story of Sodom and Gomorrah isn't about gay people or anal. It's about applying a praxis to the world that makes you believe that you fully understand what a body is in ancient times. You turn to a pillar of salt. So what these guys would do, and I learned this from a priest, what these guys would do back in the day, east of the Gaza Strip, east of Jerusalem, these guys would make these stoves to cook bread. The way that they would heat these stoves, these kilns, with very little wood, is they found salt that they could throw into this fire that would make the fire burn hotter. What they teach you at seminary, the pillar of salt, in a lot of ways is like this salt, because this salt was like oh my god, and I'm gonna be wrong about this, but it was like magnesium phosphate or something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong. It was a known chemical. They found it through archaeological digs, and they found that what these people would do is they would throw salt into these kilns to heat them up. You become a pillar of salt when you believe that your body can be so easily manipulated, that you understand every implication of every action that you're taking. In a lot of ways, this AI attack is antithetical to the teachings of the Bible, because whoever decided to use this AI to control people, to cause violence, did not understand what they were doing. And as a result, they've turned to a pillar of salt. That's why we don't like mad scientists. So this image of the nature of man is very powerful and has been powerful for millennia. Goes deep, because you can guess how well you're doing based on how you feel. If your body didn't ache when you had the flu, you'd spread it to other people. You'd all be bleeding out your assholes at some point. People would die. They wouldn't survive. They wouldn't make it here today. So we hurt because it is what made us live. Addressing these problems is what made us live. When we look at the Neolithic Revolution, we see historically a diminishing of trust and faith, right? The role of religion in people's lives became less absolute as they began to be able to defy the teachings of religion through agriculture. Agriculture and settling down required an entirely different praxis from walking around and hunting, stopping to rest and to recuperate. And so what we see, what we can glean from this, from what we know about the Neolithic Revolution, is that there was a spike in deaths from disease. People were generally unhealthy, but they were extremely satisfied with what they were doing because they had everything they wanted around them, and it defied everything they had evolved to become and every rule that they had ever been taught. Victorians understood this shift and the kind of friction that it produced intimately. It's one of the driving forces, for example, behind the opium trade. And I would argue that Apple understood it intimately. You know, Steve Jobs even said in a speech that he studied Zen when he was designing the iPhone. That's a dark force. That's a negation of the truth. Victorians understood this. Apple understood this. That's why iPhones are fucking up everything. Touchscreen phones are fucking up everything. But what weight does my word have? You can be in three camps. You can agree with me, you can agree with me sometimes, or you can disagree with me, which means you disagree with me sometimes. People are always on the spectrum. It's what we understand about history. Zombies do not live, which is probably why Night of the Living Dead was such a poignant film when it came out. Why it lasts to today through all the film scholars. Because keeping your body in line with Zen keeps you sharp and connected to the past. And that's knowledge. I'm dropping that right here because no one's going to tell you why that's true. Just that it is or it isn't. And you'll see how far they get based on who decides to pick them up or how they're able to pick themselves up. You know who picks themselves up? People who know that this is truth. And that's you know, if I was a star, it would be totally different. You heard it in a country song, you'd be singing it. Heard it in a rap song, you'd be talking it. Either way, you're doing it. And that's what Guy Debord's getting at here. But he's coming at it in a very scholarly way as he attempts to give it all. Something that can be applied to what we observe to determine deeper and emerging truths. So let's continue. Oh,